What's up, everybody? It's A-Love, the Chaos Witch, or Nana the Baddest, whatever you would like to know me as. And today, we've got another world event video. I'm excited to do this one. This one's more lighthearted. It's a rabbit hole. Honestly, I knew a little bit about this topic and situation, but I didn't know that it went like this deep and this far back. So we're about to get into it. Okay, I hope you're ready. I'm excited. I talk to a lot of people about this because it's kind of funny to me. I don't know if other people are going to find it funny, but it's kind of funny to me. So we are going to be talking about the dairy industry, like I said. So before the 1930s, it wasn't really a modern or in every household thing to be drinking milk, because not everybody had cows, and refrigerators weren't really a thing back then, and so it was kind of not even safe to drink milk then. So then the 30s came along, and they got refrigerators and stuff. They can store the milk now. So there was no standard milk pricing system before the 1930s, like I said, because it really wasn't in every household. Not everybody had milk. That is a lot of concealer. So there was no standard milk pricing system before the 1930s. Few schemes were attempted, but it seemed like classified pricing was the best approach. And what classified pricing was each dairy product was assigned to a class, and handlers paid for the milk based on the amount of milk used in each class. In order to keep things equitable, a cooperative pooled the revenue from all milk sales, and farmers would receive an average price. All of the farmers in the same cooperative would get the same price no matter how the milk was used. So the government first entered the milk chat during and because of the Great Depression. Federal milk marketing orders were introduced through the Agricultural Adjustment Act of 1933 and tweaked with the Agricultural Marketing Agreement Act of 1937. The goal of the federal orders was to make sure that they were able to keep reasonable prices for farmers and consumers and ensure an adequate supply of milk for, the consumers. So now we're in the 1940s through the 1960s. This was during the time of the World Wars, so the demand for dairy increased drastically. The Stiegel Amendment of 1941 set a support price for dairy products and other non-basic commodities to help the wartime demand. During this time, the government decided there needed to be a steady supply of dairy products for Americans. That's when the Milk Price Support Program would enter the chat. So the government didn't pay farmers directly through this program. Instead, it purchased storable dairy products such as butter, cheese, and non-fat dry milk, and at support prices through the Commodity Credit Corporation. According to Diane Shoemaker, a dairy production economics specialist, the price support system worked well for farmers and legislated support prices, if nothing else. Farmers could be sure that they would get their support price to come in and make enough for a livable wage. You could do what your family had always done, which is milk the cows, but you could also make a wage from it and support your family. According to Shoemaker, milk pricing drove the way people ran the farm. Before, people were doing it just for, the love of it. But if you needed to increase your family living wages, you could just work a little bit harder or, add some more cows. But this became the eventual downfall of the support pricing program. And that's because there was no production control mechanism associated with the program. Farmers could just keep milking cows and be sure they'd get money for it, because after all, the federal government was buying its surplus off the market. So now we fast forward to the 70s and 80s. Sorry, I had to open my door because it's getting hot and I needed the fan. But we fast forward to the 70s and 80s, and in the early 70s there was a domestic dairy shortage, which led to the dairy prices rising up. Apparently the dairy prices went up 30% in 1973, which, people milk's getting high. The government intervened by relaxing import quotas, which I am not smart enough to tell you what that means. I guess it just means they did something, and it made the dairy prices go back down a little bit for the consumers. In 1977, Jimmy Carter would become president and get into office, and began promising farmers higher milk prices. He increased the milk support price. Congress then used the Food Act of Agriculture of 1977 to maintain higher prices and require a semi-annual adjustment. The federal government pumped nearly $2 billion into the dairy industry as a result of these changes, and that's just in the freaking 70s. And then stuff starts getting even crazier in the 1980s. The legislated support price continued to increase each year, and the government continued to buy a surplus of dairy products. It went from $247 million, which is still a lot in 79, to $2.7 billion in 1983. So they spent $2.7 billion just on dairy products, dude. And that's in 83. I don't know if it's just me, but I think that's a lot of money to be pumping out for cow boob juice. I'm lactose intolerant, so. Legislators froze the support price at $13.10 per hundred weight in 1981 and eliminated the semi-annual adjustments. There were then reductions in support price. But by then, the government had so much dairy, they literally didn't know what to do with it. Like, they bought so much dairy, they didn't know what to do with it, and the cheese was starting to mold. So what was President Reagan's idea? Give the cheese away. Let's just give it away. So, in the beginning of 1981, low-income families were given blocks of this commodity cheese through the Temporary Emergency Food Assistance Program, and it even was being served in schools. So this moldy cheese that they got their hands on, because they kept buying it up, because they were making money off of it, now they got so much of it, they got to give it away. And obviously, that's where the term government cheese comes from. The program distributed more than 300 million pounds of cheese. Like, why are you guys buying this much cheese? There's no need for it. I'm pretty sure like 1 in 4 Americans are lactose intolerant. Why are you buying this much cheese? So, the year is 1983, and the story of cheese. The year 1983 brought along the Dairy Production Stabilization Act of 1983. Basically, the government still had so much freaking dairy on their hands. They started to pay farmers to slow down their production of milk. They were like, hey, we can't keep producing this stuff. Like, we've literally got so much cheese, we're giving it away. Please stop producing dairy. We will pay you. Please. Some farmers agreed. The government ended up paying out $955 million to the farmers who agreed to slow production, while other farmers were like, I'm gonna milk these cows for all they're worth, okay? But you can piss off.
This, Grandpa. That's too damn bad!
So, pretty much right after that program ended, the dairy production was right back to being at full pace, pumping out cheese, butter, and all that stuff. So, the year is 1985. The government still has a shit ton of dairy. And farmers are still producing a shit ton of dairy. So, this ensues something called the Dairy Termination Program, in which they offered dairy farm owners to pretty much slaughter their herds or get rid of them and stop producing dairy for at least 5 years. About 14,990 farmers participated, and the government managed to take about 12.3 billion pounds of milk off the market. More than 1.5 million cows were slaughtered or exported between April 1986 and September 1987. Rest in peace to those cows, man. In the arms of the angel. Now, did this termination program work? No. I mean, well, not really. It worked for like a little bit, but really all this did was make the non-participating farmers just up their game, you know? They bossed up. They were like, well, I gotta produce more. I gotta make more money now, because they did all that. But the government did save $2.4 billion in the long run, apparently, so I guess they said a win is a win.
A win is a win. A win is a win. I don't care what y'all say.
Now ensue the got milk era. So the term, or brand, I guess if you want to call it that, was created by an advertising agency, Goodby, Silverstein and Partners, for the California Milk Processor Board in 1933, or 1993, sorry. The board hired a man named Jeff Manning, whom they tasked with rebranding the product. Like, they wanted milk to be cool. So apparently milk was seen as a kid's beverage, which, yeah, I guess if you're a kid cow, maybe. And, like, Americans were eating out more. They weren't eating dinners that really, you would want a cold glass of milk. I'm not judging, but Americans weren't eating dinners that they would really want a cold cup of milk with. So that was the brand for Got Milk. They wanted a glass of milk to be modern and approachable and buyable. Now the Got Milk ad campaign started off with commercials, and the main ploy of these commercials was like, don't you love milk? Like, you're gonna really regret it if you don't have milk one day. Like, you gotta go buy milk and have a drink of milk. What if you have a dry biscuit and you don't have milk? Your head is going to implode.
Drink your milk, kids. I don't want milk. Milk's for babies.
Yeah, babies.
Oh yeah? Well, I happen to know that milk helps build strong bones. So drink up.
Well, Mr. Miller told me he never drinks milk. Look at him.
Yeah.
Hi, kid.
Oh, that's not good.
Got milk.
I'm sure you've seen at least one Got Milk ad in your lifetime. I know in my middle school there was literally a Got Milk banner, like, right up in the cafeteria. I don't remember who was on it. It could have been Shaq. Was it? I'll have to ask one of my former peers. Why do I feel like it was Shaq? It's future me that's editing this video. I just wanted to say that it was Shaq in my middle school cafeteria in the Got Milk poster. I'm surprised that I remembered that. Also, how cruel of it was them to have you guys in there eating cheeseburgers and washing it down with milk. I'm kind of glad I'm lactose intolerant because I got the little juices and even they were gross. So I really feel for you guys. But really, like, the magazine, the mustache, that started in, like, the early 90s. And, like, every celeb who was anybody wanted to be on this milk campaign because it was really popping. And milk purchases, like, as a beverage did go up apparently by 6%. But all it really did was make good memes or good memories. I don't personally feel like I felt persuaded to have a cup of milk, but I'm biased because I think milk is freaking really disgusting. I had to pop my lashes on off camera because you guys make me nervous. So yeah, anybody who was anybody wanted to be on the milk campaigns, like, especially in the early 90s. They were really popping. Like I said, there was literally one in my school cafeteria, and I don't know why I think it was Shaq, but it was obviously some celebrity, like Britney Spears. I seen Britney Spears, Jennifer Aniston, and the other girl from Friends who plays Phoebe. Like, I'm gonna insert some, what you call it. And like I said, I just think it's really weird the fact that the government spent so much money on cheese and dairy, they had to give it away. It started molding, they didn't even know what to do with it, and Reagan was like, you know what, just give it away to the poor people. Why not? It's just crazy. Milk Pep pulled the plug on the Got Milk mustache advertisement campaign in 2014. I guess people just, didn't care about milk anymore, and apparently milk as a beverage continues to go down and down every year, which, you know what, good on you guys, because what are you really doing? You're drinking cow boob juice. You're not a baby cow, okay? And because I'm trying to keep this video lighthearted, I'm not going to go into, like, the horrors of the dairy industry, like, now, like, well, probably even back then, because you literally have to keep the cow pregnant in order for it to produce milk. So they're, inseminating these cows and keeping them pregnant just to take their milk. I'm pretty sure that a documentary I watched about that industry said that the cows only last like 3 to 4 years, and as opposed to them, like, their natural lifespan is like 15 to 20, I think. That's probably not exactly correct, but it's around that. They don't last long because it's torture, so it's pretty bad. Sorry. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got on Got Milk and the dairy industry and the government's hands in it. Other than, like, I'm pretty sure that the government kind of lies a little bit about how good milk is for you. I really can't see another animal's milk being that good for you. I just can't. You can get calcium from plenty of other things. I'm gonna Google it. Look, here's a list of things that you could also get calcium from if you want calcium that bad. You don't need cow boob juice, I promise. Okay. Anyways, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was a little all over the place, but this is just really an interesting topic to me. I think it's just crazy how much money the government spent on cheese, and they had so much of it they literally had to give it away. So, yep, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe, whatever, do whatever you want. Comment down below, let me know any other topics that you would like me to research and do a video on. Yeah, that's about it. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.